Happiness. One word, 9 letters. 7 billion definitions, right? Because we all have our own definition of what happiness is and what it means to us. I bet I could take a survey in the room and get everyone would have a different definition. And it might change. It might change. What you consider happiness today might be different from yesterday and next week, right? So happiness. We're wrapping up our series this month on joy. And I wanted to end on this idea of happiness because it seems like everybody is seeking happiness of some sort. We want things, situations, circumstances, events in our life because we think they're going to bring us happiness, right? And it's our reactions and our actions that are usually because of either someone's trying to take my happiness, or I'm seeking happiness and I'm taking an action to have that make me happy. Would you agree? Yeah, most of our actions are motivated that way. Why does it feel so good to be happy? Why does it feel so good to be happy? Well, science to the answer. Turns out that when we are happy, that our brains, our biology is already wired up to shoot off 4 chemicals in our brain. 4 chemicals in our brain. Endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. 4 shots. It's a holiday weekend. 4 shots. Now, there's only one that happens with fear, though. Good old cortisol, right? We've all heard of that and the negative attributes of cortisol in our body for sustained type of things. Now, this was one big, huge shot of adrenaline, basically, that would come to us when we were being threatened. Again, it's our biology and the way that we're wired to be focused on that threat, to have superhuman energy to take care of it and protect ourselves, fight or flight and all that stuff. One big shot temporarily happening. But what has happened in our society today is we are high stress and hanging on to that on a more consistent basis, right? And it's not good for us. But if we think about the way we are designed, the way that we are wired for that 4 shots of flooding our brain with happy juice and the 1 shot of cortisol that's fear-based, anger-based, stress-based, we want to hang out in happiness, don't we? It's a much more luscious and delightful place to hang out. The other thing about happiness that science is telling us is that it has been proven that 50% of our happiness is based on your genetics. Congratulations. We all know some people that are just happy most of the time. And we know people who are not, right? And no matter what happens in their life, they're just not happy. And the people that are usually happy, no matter what happens in their life, they're usually pretty happy anyway, right? There's just a joy about them that we can sense. So that's 50%. What about the other 50? Well, 10% of it, they say, comes from external sources. But man, we spend a lot of energy there, though, don't we? Trying to find outside of ourselves that which will make us happy and bring us joy. But that's only 10% of it. The other 40%, is our perception of our circumstances. Our perception of our circumstances. How do I evaluate? How do I see? What are my beliefs around what is happening to me? That's 40% of it. So between the external stimulation and our perceptions in our own minds, that's 50%, and then our genetics. So that's what science is telling us is the makeup of the happiness of our system, if you will. So I was talking with Lori last month. Now, she is pure walking joy. Would you agree? I mean, she's the most joy-filled person I know. No matter what's going on, she's got joy about her. So I called her and I said, hey, I'm doing a series on joy. You have any resources? And she's like, do I have resources? So she provided me all these wonderful, wonderful books to reference for the month. And in there was one called Happy. That's just the name of it. It's called Happy. And it's published by the folks at Lonely Planet. They're the travel people. And they published a survey of 55 different secrets to happiness from various cultures of the world. It was fascinating to go through this. They broke them down into different categories. So in looking through that resource and many others about what is it that creates happiness, I stumbled across the United Nations. You don't think of the United Nations as a happy place now, do you? In 2012, the United Nations designated March the 20th as International Happiness Day. Did you know that? I did not know that. How did that pass us by, right? They're not promoting. They need marketing. Joe, they need marketing. March 20th, International Happiness Day. There's 193 states that are within the United Nations that celebrate this now, and we're going to make a big deal out of it next year, so stay tuned for that. But in looking at all of these different resources that are out there about happiness, it seems that there's several things that they agree on that we can do to support our experience of lasting joy in our lives. And today we're going to look at 4 of those practices. And we're actually going to do 2 practices in service today. You up for that? Doing some practices? Yeah, we're going to have some fun. And that might help you smile, might help you giggle, but I'm going to warn you, happiness is contagious. Okay? Happiness is contagious. Research shows that when one person is happy, the person they are with is 15% more likely to get happy. And that then the second-degree contact, the friend of that person, is 10% more likely to be happy. And then the third-degree friend of the friend of the friend is 6% likely to be happy. Isn't that cool? It's a great ripple effect of our happiness spreading out in the world of people around us. So our happiness influences the people we know and the people they know. So be happy, spread the joy. Ernest Holmes is the founder of the Centers for Spiritual Living. He's also the author of The Science of Mind that we teach from. And he says it's only as you live affirmatively that you can be happy. How about that for a big statement? Knowing that there is but one spirit in which everyone lives, moves, and has his being, you are to feel this spirit not only in your consciousness, but in your affairs, in the world of effects around you. You are united with it. The presence of spirit within you blesses everyone you meet, tends to heal everything you touch, and brings gladness into the life of everyone you contact. That is so much of why I love the science of mind. Living affirmatively in unity with all, allowing spirit to work within my affairs, within me, to bless all. And that perspective is 40% of our happiness, isn't it? So we could almost say Science of Mind is a happiness teaching, couldn't we? Yeah. So what we're going to do today is explore 4 areas that you're probably familiar with and aware of, and it's in alignment with our spiritual teaching. Connect, be mindful, grateful, and play. Who likes to play? Yeah, play. We don't do enough of it, do we? But the first thing we need to do is define happiness. How do you define happiness? It's important to know where we're going in order to know when we get there. If we're seeking happiness, unless we can define what happiness is for us, how will we know when we arrive there? Right? So we need to define for ourselves what happiness is. From that Lonely Planet book, one of the practices that is in there is from Japan. And it's in the Shinto tradition called, I believe, Ima, if anyone speaks Japanese. Emma or Ima? I think Ima sounds more Japanese. Lisa, you were there. Ima? Okay. Ima. They are small wooden plaques that are inscribed with the wish, desire, or prayer of the person, and then they're hung on display at the shrine until they are ritually burned at special events symbolic of the liberation of the wish from the writer. Now that sounds like Science of Mind releasing our prayer to the activity of law, doesn't it? Very similar. So today we're going to create our emots. If I could get our ushers to come forward, there's baskets with 3x5 index cards back there and some pencils. Now, many of these have pictures on them. We don't have time for that. But you do have time to write down your desire, wish, or prayer on this card. So take a moment to think about your wish or your desire, happiness in your life, and think about what you want it to look like. What would you like your life to look like? What would happiness represent for you? Today, in a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, what is that desire? How could your life be more joy-filled? Even it's so filled up right now and overflowing, there's always more givingness of the divine to and through its creation. What could bring more joy, more happiness to you? Just take a moment, write that down. Joe, if you'd start some music while they write. Take just a couple of minutes for this. Okay, so if our ushers would come forward and collect the cards and the pencils back. Don't have to. You can put your name if you want to. You don't have to. I will include these at the end of service, and then I will take them and ceremoniously burn them this weekend for us, releasing these into the action of the law. So that's our first process this morning. So the first practice we're going to talk about is connecting. And they say people with strong and broad social relationships are happier, healthier, and live longer. Close relationships with family and friends provide love, meaning, and support, and increase our feelings of self-worth. Broader networks bring a sense of belonging. Taking action to strengthen our relationships and build connections is essential to our happiness. That's why we're in spiritual community, isn't it? Is to build our network of connection. All of this sounds familiar and sounds good, but how do we do it? How do we do that? I think the first thing to do is to shift our perspective. And many of you may not have that perspective, but to shift our perspective, if we do, of connecting being a burden. Who thinks, I don't have time to do that? I don't have time to make a phone call. I don't have time to go to lunch. I don't have time to meet for dinner. I don't have time to, right? Or we make a list of phone calls and things we need to do, and then they're still sitting on our desk the next day. So there's a concept of putting that as secondary when, if we look at this and as it relates to being happy, not only for ourselves but for the other person too, right? So it's both. It's a mutual thing. And what I relate this to is the idea of oneness that we teach in the science of mind, that we are all one. We need each other. Would you agree? Yeah, we need each other. So reaching out and touching and being connected and broadening that network and doing the little bit of maintenance. When when I first moved to Phoenix years ago, I was at a Christmas party and I met a woman who was in commercial real estate. And we chatted and exchanged business cards and did the thing that we do. And said, oh yeah, we need to get together for lunch. I didn't think anything of it. Well, she took it very seriously. She called me the following day and said, let's schedule a lunch. I met you at the party last night. And I still remember, I was really surprised by that. We met and we became very, very close friends for many years. But and she said, friendships need maintenance. Friendships need maintenance. Now, connecting with friends and family. We had many people at our wedding that we had not seen for years. And it was so good to connect with them. There were people that we connected with who were not able to come, but we had also not spoken with them for a while. Again, too busy, right? Too busy. But we recognize the beauty of those connections and spending time with them and making that commitment to spend more time with friends and family. So we have to do that. We have to step into that. And it's good for our mental, physical, and emotional health and theirs. And theirs. So this is a very important practice. There are ways that we can do it by using technology. Text messaging, quick, easy, thinking about it in the moment, right? Thinking about it in the moment. Send off a text, hey, just thinking about you, wanted you to know. Everything going okay? What's happening? Call for lunch, call for coffee, call for going out for dinner, whatever it might be. Connecting is so important, scheduling time. Our next practice is mindfulness. We talked about that before. Mindfulness is a state of being attentive to and aware of what is happening in the present moment. Mindfulness is intentional. It's an intentional process of focus, and we're accepting what we are seeing without judging it. Without judging it, right? Mindfulness is just being in that moment. In the Lonely Planet book, they talk about travel, of course. And I like what they said about travel because it really, I think, helps us understand this idea of mindfulness a little bit better. Travel to someplace new. We're very aware, aren't we? New surroundings, new people. Where am I? How do I get back to my hotel? I had never been to Waikiki Beach when we went on our honeymoon, so I was very aware of everything. The water was so blue. The sky was so blue. The plants were so green and colorful. Where's the hotel in relation to the other hotels? Where's transportation? What do I need to be aware of? I was very aware of my surroundings because I needed to know how to get back to the hotel if I got lost, right? And that's the way we are. And then we also have that thing in our brain that wants us to be safe, so we're looking for anything we need to be aware of, concerned about. Who's here? What are they doing? What's going on? So that was their idea, that when we travel can open us up to mindfulness and being more aware of our surroundings, as opposed to when we're at home, we know our way around. How many can walk around your house in the dark and know where you're going most of the time? Yeah, of course, right? I mean, we're familiar with our surroundings. But what also happens because of that is that we can go on autopilot pretty easily, can't we? And our brain can be over here thinking about 87 other things while we're doing something here but we're not really conscious and aware of either of them. So mindfulness is a practice of being present now. We can do mindfulness practices with eating, doing the dishes, meditating, walking. There's a lot of ways we can do it as long as we bring our full awareness to that practice. I read something recently that was talking about how unmindfully most of us eat, and that we are, as we're still chewing the bite, we're already picking up the next bite, ready to go with the next one, right? And so last night at dinner, I was thinking about this and watching my own behavior. And I found I was doing that. Like, isn't this interesting? I do exactly what they said we do. So I took a few moments and I would set my fork down and chew. But then I noticed that I kind of like the combinations of some of the foods together at the same time, right? What is it, mashed potatoes and corn kind of go together, gravy and mashed potatoes, all that stuff. So I noticed that piece of it too. But I also noticed that if I did chew the bite completely, that I wasn't as hungry for the next one. So it was really an interesting little process to go through. And I would encourage you to try that and see what your own habits are. Just observe yourself in a mindful way and practice putting your utensil down in between bites and seeing how that works for you. We're all going to lunch today at Wildflower, so we can all practice, right? We can all practice at lunch today. Our third practice is gratitude, and that's being grateful, thankful, feeling, or showing appreciation. Science continues to show us that positive emotions broaden our perceptions, similar to the way the negative emotions narrow them. Remember, we talked about the different chemicals in our brains. So when we're flooded with those 4 shots of wonderful happy drugs in our heads, we broaden. We broaden our perspective. Love, peace, and joy, right? But when we're fearful, when we're stressed, when we're angry, we narrow our focus to that which is causing that, don't we? If I'm afraid of that tiger, I'm going to really be paying attention to that tiger. Or if I'm concerned about the boss and the boss walks in the room, I'm going to be really focused on what the boss is doing, right? So we narrow our focus under stress, under fear, under anger. But we can broaden it with the good feelings. Getting ready to go on our honeymoon and fly over to Hawaii. I'm feeling pretty good. I've just come off a wonderful celebration and very, very good connections with family and friends. We're going off to Hawaii for 9 days. I have a pretty broad perspective of gratitude and joy and all those good feelings. Not much bugged me on the way over. Things didn't go just right. Oh, well, whatever, right? I'm open. I'm easy. Coming back, I was still in gratitude for a wonderful trip, but I wasn't so grateful to be crawling on a plane at 9 o'clock at night for an overnight journey, knowing that I faced completing a talk on Saturday, getting ready to come on Sunday and deliver that talk, getting ready to go back to the office on Monday morning. Like, who made that plan? So I wasn't in as broad of a perspective, perhaps, and things bugged me a little bit more. The seat wasn't really comfortable, and I wanted to blame the airlines for that, right? The plane was crowded. Why did they not have enough leg room for me to stretch out a little bit more on the plane, right? So just a little less comfortable than I might have been had I had a little broader perspective on the way out. But I believe that gratitude, like happiness, is contagious. When we're in a state of gratitude and openness, people sense that energy around us and begin to open to that as well. So our final practice is play. And we all said we love to play. Who was here a few weeks ago? We talked about willow time from the book on joy. Scheduling willow time. Time to play. Schedule it. Make an appointment with yourself to play, to do something that is not a work, business, chore, errand activity. Simply play. Anybody do that? Like, try that? There you go. Yay. Good. How did it work? Good stuff. Friday afternoon, Ron and I decided to have some willow time. We played. We went to the mall, and we messed around at the mall a little bit. We had lunch, and then we decided to go to the movies. So we walked up to the Harkins thing, and they've got 97 screens there, right? You're kind of going, okay, what do I want to see? Because we had no idea what was playing. And we're talking to the clerk behind the counter. And he's saying, oh, this movie's a great drama. This is a great adventure show. This is a... We're like, where's the comedy? He's going, oh, well, we have The Hustle. Like, what's that about? Oh, it's just a remake of the old Dirty Rotten Scoundrel movie that was done years ago, but it's with women this time instead of men. We're like, okay, we'll see that. And you see him go, really? You know. But we went and we laughed through the whole movie. It was just a cute show. There's not really any substance to it. You know, we didn't grow and expand our minds in any way, but we had fun. We laughed. We were happy. We were joy-filled. And we were goofing off, and it was great. It was willow time. There wasn't anything else that we had to do that was on our schedule, that was a scheduled activity. We did what we wanted to do. Willow time is so, so, so important to us. Our entire time in Hawaii was that, and it has helped me regain my perspective on that importance in life for all of us. We can allow ourselves to get so bogged down in the stuff of life that life's no fun. And it's just not meant to be that way. We are not meant to be that way. We're not designed to be that way. We get 4 shots of happy juice to 1 of bad. So what do you think? The Creator knew what they were doing when they said, we're going to reward you 4 times as much for being happy as for being mad or angry or upset or unhappy. That's pretty smart, isn't it? Pretty smart. So happiness, like everything, is a choice. Do you agree? Happiness is a choice. We can choose to be happy. It's important for ourselves, our families, our communities, our planet, because of that ripple effect that we talked about. It's important. Again, we can be the change we want to experience in the world. If we're happy, the people next to us, it's contagious. They get happy, and it continues to spread. The whole world becomes a happier place. And let's face it, we could use some more joy and happiness in our world right now. So let's look at some practices and how we might enjoy the search for happiness. I'm going to run through these quickly. I just told you all about them. The first is connection. Schedule it. Schedule it. Reach out to someone this week. Make the effort to connect and see how happy it makes you both feel. Pay attention to that. Be present to it. Mindfulness is our second one. Let go of full mind. Let go of multitasking. I think that's the most horrible thing we can do. It really is. And I'm the world's biggest multitasker. And I'm trying to break that habit because I don't feel like it does me a service or either of the tasks that I'm trying to do. It's not, none of it's getting done right, is it? Or well. So let go of that and focus and be mindful. Again, eating. Most of us do it at least once a day. Practice there with the mindfulness. Practice there with the mindfulness. Number 3, gratitude. Be present to someone's act of kindness. Look for it. Pay attention to it. Say thank you. Send a note. Send a card. I am bad at that. I have a goal in my life to be able to sit and just write cards to everybody. I love that. But, you know, I'm relegating to text these days because I get those done at least. I'm successful at those. I'm not as successful at the cards and letters, but I am more successful at text. Do what works for you. Number 4, play. Schedule your willow time. Life's not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. We're here to be happy. We're here to be joy. We're here to experience adventure, to learn and to grow, to have fun. I want to finish today with our last practice. Last practice. This one comes from Thailand. You may know it as the Lantern Festival. You ever heard of that or seen beautiful pictures of that where the paper lanterns go up and they're illuminated and they go into the night sky and float away? Well, we're inside. It's daylight. We can't really let off lit things, right? No fire in the building. So we're going to do it a little bit differently. The basic idea of this is it's a ceremony of letting go, a ceremony of releasing. It's releasing of any nagging thought, regret, fear, something you said to someone or someone said to you. You ever get that hamster cage going, replaying the conversation over and over and over and over and over again to no resolution? Whatever it is, most of us have a thing we would like to let go of, release and let go of. Let it float out of our mind. So that's what we're going to do today. Ushers, I need you one more time. Back in the back of the room, there's a little box filled with bubbles. We're going to have bubbles today. We're going to blow bubbles and imagine they contain the old memories, the nagging thoughts, the fears, the regrets, and watch as they float away and disappear in a pop. All right? So we're going to have some fun here with that. I'm going to invite you to take a moment as the ushers are coming around and bring to mind that thing. What is it you're ready to let go of that needs to leave? Maybe it's an addiction, a habit, an old pattern that keeps repeating. Maybe it's a belief that no longer serves you. It's time to finally let go of it. Something that doesn't serve your highest good. Imagine letting it go, releasing it. Maestro Joe will play some music as you release for just a couple of minutes. If it doesn't work, get another one. We got plenty. Well, they don't work, some of them. Watch your bubbles go all the way. All right. Wasn't that fun? All right. I love watching them just whoop. Yay! Good deal. Well, you can take your bubbles home with you and continue to release. Continue to release. I want to close this today with a quote from French novelist, critic, and essayist Marcel Proust, who says, "Let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom." That, my friends, is the 10%. Those external friends and family and people and movies and bubbles and whatever it might be that bring us joy are the gardeners who make our souls blossom. So would you join me in an affirmative prayer now? How good it is that we come together today in celebration of life, recognizing that there is that one life that is the life of all. It is the power and the presence that holds planets in their orbits. It is the power and the presence that has created the smallest of life forms and the largest. It is God. It is Spirit. It is Source. It is Essence, presence, love, harmony, balance, joy, happiness. And all of that is here now, in, through, and as me, as an expression of it. I am uniquely manifested of the one source and substance of all that is. And as that manifestation, I know that I am that harmony, that peace, that balance and love, the joy, the creativity, the happiness. And as I know that for myself, I know that for each one of us gathered here today. For I know that each of us is a manifestation of that which is the only one. There's not anything else from which we could have come than the divine substance of spirit. Each of us, that infinite presence of love, of joy, of happiness. And so knowing that this day I speak my word for and about each one of us gathered here today and anyone in the sound of my voice, as I know, claim, and accept the manifestation of the happiness prayer, the desire, the wish that was written on the cards, the emas that we created this morning. I know that each of those is blessed. Each of those is made manifest in this moment, fully orbed into form, whole, perfect, and complete. How grateful I am for this knowing. For I know that each one of these prayers is made manifest. And I know that each one, as we have stated our purpose, the universe began immediately drawing that to us. We just affirm that here now. As I release this into the activity of law, into the action of the universal mind and the power of spirit, and we affirm it together by saying, and so it is.